Hello everyone. It's James again. And today I want to talk about the origins of the nut job. The obsessed dangerous nut job. And there is a very important reason for this. Because I believe those both men and women that stalk and obsess over people they don't know and act in a dangerous manner were probably raised in a home with a psychopath or narcissist for a parent or parents. And even if they weren't genetically born this way themselves, the total mind screw their parent or parents did to them is the reason why, in my opinion, you have so many what we call nut jobs walking the streets today. Now, before I go over the hows and whys, I want to say, though these people were once victims, they are beyond yours and mine's help. And they are dangerous. If you believe you are dealing with someone like this, get legal help and speak to the police. Because most of the time, these types are so far off their rocker they do have the ability of doing the absolute worst things one can imagine. And the reason why is they don't have a conscience. Because whatever conscience they did have was erased away by their toxic upbringing. You see, narcissist parent or parents look for a golden child, which is someone that will agree with whatever they are doing, just to get the few scraps of fake love thrown their way. The scapegoat is the one that can see what's going on and asks questions about the toxic nature of the home in which he or she lives in, and thus is targeted for abuse. Now, the sad part is, in this process of the narcissist parent or parents grooming the golden child, is they work really hard at isolating them. They also work hard at isolating the scapegoat too. But oftentimes, once an adult, the scapegoat moves out. No matter if they have to join the military, or get a bunch of roommates, or move out with a possible toxic spouse, all to get out of their toxic home of origin. However, interestingly enough, the golden child usually stays behind. And they have this weird relationship with their narcissist parent or parents. Very weird indeed. Almost like they are in a romantic relationship with them. It's scary to say that, but that's what it appears to be like. And by them staying in such a strange situation, their view of the world and relationships get warped. Here's a good movie to watch, or at least catch the highlights of the original Psycho movie, where this strange guy was dressing up like his mother at a motel he ran. All the while his mother was sitting dead for years in his house. And he would scream at himself in his mother's voice, as she was scolding him about this and that. But it's really him talking to himself in his mother's voice. But one needs to ask, how does such a man or woman get made? And the answer is in this film. But it's not shown. Chances are this Norman Bates character was isolated by his mother. And in this isolation she worked on destroying his self-esteem. And him having any chance at anything normal. More than likely, any time there appeared a chance for him to have a normal friendship, or a possible girlfriend, his mother more than likely jumped into action to sabotage such relationships. To the point where other children and girls wanted nothing to do with him. And all he had was his mother and that house. He never got to get out in the world and find himself. However, he was fed a steady diet of lies and manipulations at the hands of his mother. Then there's when things take an unthinkable relationship turn between son and mother. You can just use your imagination there. She then dies. Or he kills her. And before you know it, he's now a normal-looking crazy man living in this world. And when the crazy meets normal, it's usually not a good outcome. And yes, these types come in both men and women. They appear to be normal. But when they start to talk, you can tell right off the bat they are nuts. Or there is something off about them. And when you are nice to them, they think you are now in a relationship with them. And when you explain you aren't interested in them, there is a big damage to their narcissistic ego, which sends them into a rage, where someone or something must answer for this narcissistic injury. This is where you have nut job men and women killing people they barely know, or climbing the gates of movie stars or singers' houses. They see them on television and in their mind they think they would be the perfect mate for this person on television and their mind runs wild. All because they've been taught a distorted view of the world. And how the world works. By their toxic parents. Because these so-called parents didn't want this person to grow up normal. Because normal means they will leave the house. So they mix their minds up with all kinds of mess. So no one will ever want them. This is all done by design. And if the parent is living, they will say, "Oh my God. I have no idea why my son or daughter is like this. He or she was in a house full of love. I loved all of my children the same. Blah 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 blah." Basically this child is now a man or woman and is now responsible for their actions as they should be. But guess who gets off scot-free? The person or demon that created them. Now again, this is in no way defending nutty people. Because I know for a fact there is no reaching them. If you know someone like this, get away from them as fast as you can. But we need to understand what causes this. And it's a nutty parent or parents. This is why I and many others have talked about changing family court laws. Because though there are just as many evil women as there are men, in my humble opinion, we live in a world where narcissist women seek to get married or have children just to get money and mess her children up, just like in this example. And she knows nothing will be done to her. Nothing. And though there are a lot of narcissist men out there that are just as evil. By changing around the family court laws to being 50-50 to start as a default and fault divorces, instead of no-fault divorces. This will make evil narcissists and psychopaths think for a second before they have children or get married. They will understand after they see a few cases happen, that if they abuse someone in a marriage, they can be left, and can't stick the other person with all the financial responsibility. They will see and understand they have to be responsible themselves. And narcissists and other toxic people hate. They literally hate to be responsible. And eventually they will see no bonus for them to have children or to getting married. But right now it's a narcissist's playground and children are being ruined. Ruined to the point they are growing up to being conscienceless evil beings. Out there wrecking others' lives. And it's bad enough when they can blend into society and covertly hurt others. But then we have those that walk around outwardly acting as crazy as the Joker. Or some other evil character from a comic book. Most of us that have golden child brothers or sisters that are still living at home know this behavior all too well. I'm first to admit my brother is weird and creepy. He's a very strange guy. All because he's lived in a very strange world his entire life. Only exposed to what my crazy mother exposed him to. All for the sake of brainwashing and controlling him. And grooming him to be with her in her nutty world she lives in until the bitter end. Narcissist parents are completely evil. They care for nothing but for themselves. And if they have to turn their children into societal rejects all to gain narcissistic supply for the rest of their life, then so be it. That's their thinking. Now again, both men and women can turn out like this. But when are we going to say enough is enough here? When are we going to make it easier for good people to have families and harder for the nut jobs to have them? Because right now, it's a nut job's paradise. And good people are avoiding having children. And avoiding relationships. And no one is saying, wait a minute, this is backwards. We must know our past to know where we are headed. And the past of these nut jobs starts off with their nut job parent or parents. This is something that needs to be discussed. Not to fix the current nut jobs walking the street. Because most of them are unfixable. Much like the narcissists in our life. But how can we prevent these things from happening in the future? And that's narcissistic abuse being recognized as real abuse that's not only done to adults, but it's done to helpless children. I would like to know your thoughts. Please leave your comments in the comments section below. Because if we don't address this problem, it's only going to get worse. With that being said, Let's keep praying for wisdom. Let's keep praying for strength. And let's keep praying for courage. And until next time. Bye for now. And be good to yourself.